Hi, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever it is that you are joining us from. My name is Jean. This is Nelmarie. Um, we have been on a few different social media platforms with our travels around South Africa predominantly. I've gone to a few other countries in the SADC region, which is the southern part of Africa. Um, and recently, over the past few years, we've been doing small businesses, SMEs, from swimming clubs to kids clothing, kids toys, transport services, and I've been doing security and asset tracing in between, working with some old colleagues of mine. I have a history of education. She has a history of childcare, and we both have a history of psychology, more in the minors, so within children, but also it's relevant within adults because psychology is applicable within the theory as you see it and as it is presented to you, as people engage with you and so on. And at the start of our journey around South Africa, driving and selling and doing markets and trading and seeing the country and having adventures, I'd been doing it for a few years and she had wanted to come along, and we had a wonderful experience, which is all available on some of our other Facebook and YouTube channels, Van Life and Piccaninny, which is easily sourced through our social networks or social media networks. More recently, we've gone through a pregnancy, and our businesses have come to a standstill, so that we can care and provide and prepare and all that. And now, post all of that, I've had time to sit still and reflect. Having a history in education, I thought it would be. I've always thought it's very important that one of the main pillars of society is the education of a society, or um, the nation of a country, or a region or a continent. The first pillar and the most important pillar is education. And so I've been watching since 101 Days to Trump in his first election, 2016, with much entertainment at first, and then it became a reality, as we all know. And then more recently, the whole Kamala Harris and Donald Trump journey and circus show, and the Donald Trump overwhelming victory. But besides that, and that's all the hype on the internet right now, behind the scenes, people like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, um, the name just escaped me now, but there were so many of them who had debates and had public engagement and student engagement and young and old engagement in a program called Turningpoint USA, which has also now become Turningpoint UK, I see, and I believe there's a Turningpoint Australia also emerging. I thought, what a wonderful idea, because recently as we've been traveling around the country and also down to the Western Cape and back to the Eastern Cape, I've been engaging some old friends and colleagues of mine about where South Africa finds itself. And whenever I mention to them, do you think we have done our bottom turn? Do you think we've reached our turning point in SA? I get very mixed responses. Completely yes or completely no. No one is kind of in the middle. So I thought that's very interesting, because I personally believe we have done our turn. We've done our dip. We've had our bottom turn, and I have reasons for that. And I'd love to explore and explain that, as I have discussed it on braais and dinners and on the road with colleagues and friends, and so on. And it's been such interesting conversations and engagements, and opposite views, all with evidence and reason, that I thought, because we have got the GNU formed and the ANC has lost a lot of ground because of their corruption and bad practices, and some of the other political parties have popped up, some saying, announcing they're going to be the new president overnight, and others want to have revolutions, and you've got the MK forming, and then you've got private business, and you've got just the normal man on the street, which is what I'm aiming this at, because that's what Turning Point USA did. They went back to the man on the street, and they went after the education and knowledge and the exposure of the right information to more people, because of fake news and misinformation and not understanding and poor education, which is a troubling thing in the 21st century. and in South Africa, 30 plus years into our very young but successful democracy. So I would like to, with the help of friends, ex-colleagues of mine, people that I'm going to try and engage in this channel, as I'm engaging my partner, business partner, and our life partner, because she's been through this whole journey of the past few years, some significant ups and downs, and more recently, these discussions that have been happening around dinner tables and on the road and in meetings that she has had to be part of, either for business or pleasure, and been hearing these different responses. So I want to start off sort of in that range, and I want to sort of baptize this moment as Turningpoint South Africa, a channel that I hope we can form, not in isolation. I would like to, at the very beginning now, invite anyone for an interview, anyone for an engagement, anyone for a chat, comments and suggestions of topics to discuss, though I have a whole list of them just from watching news, talking to people, reading newspapers, going through the internet, legacy media and independent media, and so on and so forth. And just my own experience, having been birthed before 1994, having gone through 1994, and then all the way through up into here, and not having left the country ever, only for, say, business or a sport or a holiday, having been that fortunate to have gone through that or have had that opportunity. So I do think, and in my engagement with others, I do have some balance of thought, some balance of information, some balance of training and education. And I have been really lucky to have received all this relevant training and coping mechanism and information processing skills that I've been taught and shown. And I'm often finding myself right in the middle, and I'm not quite sure, because there is an argument to be made that I'm either divisive. In other contexts, I'm definitely the cohesive factor. In other situations, I'm exactly in the middle of heated debates, arguments, and decision making, and so on and so on. So I'm either the middleman breaking it up, the middleman bringing it together, right in the middle, and no one wants to touch it or discuss it or engage it. And I think it's critical at this point for South Africa to have an independent channel which is open to discussion of anything and anywhere from anyone, in order to have it available online, not on our television channels, because that's, of course, if you have the information, which some don't. The news and the programs we watch on TV are very dependent on money from sponsors and advertising and the government and so on and so forth. So it's not independent. They can't say what they want. They can't have true and honest and open opinions and varied opinions. They have a list of things they have to discuss, and that's it. So that is what I'm trying to engage with this channel. I think to start, read that quote that I sent you from the Bible the other night. Won't you please do that now, Marie?
It's from Luke 8 verse 17. Luke 8 verse 17 says, "For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light." Another translation says, "For all that is secret will eventually be brought into the open, and everything that is concealed will be brought to light and made known to all."
So Marie's recently gone through a massive battle, and I've been through a few battles in my life. First of all, for being confrontational. Second of all, for being confrontational and conscientious. And that's a difficult place to operate from often, because when you see shit and you call it shit, often people react very poorly, especially if they are causing the shit. But the fastest way through any problem, any situation, is the truth. The truth will set you free. That is true. The truth does not perish. That is true. The truth will be shown. The truth will show you out. The truth will come out. That is true. And that is the fastest way to engage, disengage, create a point of resistance, and then resolve a point of resistance, is with the truth. And that struck home with me in all of this. which is what should be the aim of this channel primarily, is to engage anyone and everyone with truth as far and as bearable as possible, also factual, contextual, and with evidence, not only pie in the sky figures, broad spectrum, blanket comments and suggestions and claims or opinions.
Not just opinions.
Try and keep it factual with evidence so that it is relatable on the ground and relevant to our country and the forces outside our country, because like I said earlier, believe that we have done our bottom turn. I believe the country is on its way up. There's many reasons for it, and I'm going to ask you, please, as one example, I had a wonderful discussion with an old friend who used to be an extremely successful business director, I would say. Worked very high up in the banking sector, and really knows about the numbers, the figures, the economy, the fiscal, the GDP, and before I say why I keep asking those guys the same questions, because I've spoken to more than one of them, but he then sent me a WhatsApp to try and again prove his point after we'd had a very heated discussion for more than an hour at dinner the evening before. A robust, heated conversation in disagreement and agreement on the same point, but with different angles and opinions. And we went to bed friends and we woke up as friends. We didn't, fight about it. But he came at me with another WhatsApp, and then I just rebutted with a WhatsApp. And what really struck me as harsh was he then said to me, that all is irrelevant. I thought, wow, that is a really harsh thing to say. And so I've been engaging other friends in other sectors, in other business, other lines of employment, even employed and unemployed friends and people and strangers, and wherever I'm sitting, I'm having these engagements. I just want to get this information, and I'm having great conversations about it. So I thought, let's bang out a video. Let's try and start a thing. As I said, Turningpoint South Africa. Have a look at Turningpoint USA and see what they did. They went to every single category of society and engaged them, and it was a backwards and forwards robust conversation, because without robust conversation we don't learn, we don't develop, we don't move forward. I think that's one of the first things I ever told you when I met you. So why don't you please read, just don't include the names, please.
Sure.
I want you just to hear the two different ways of approaching the same thing. Please read what he had written to me the day after, the morning after.
Okay, so he said, my brief summary for the day.
Read slowly, eh?
Okay. As we nostalgically look back on 15 wasted years, pre-29 May 2024, the great marshmallow/tapeworm can finally shine on the global stage. Given most politicians' obsessive love of international pageantry, especially African elites' love of same, provided always funded by other people's money, Ramaphosa could become our next Jan Smuts, with a lot of laughing, crying emojis. Given his and cancer, but the ANC is in the cancer, spectacular successes at home, simply too numerous to mention, the G20 universe must now be panting with excitement at the prospect of Cyril's bold leadership, with a face palm emoji. Okay. Teddy Roosevelt coined the phrase, tread softly but carry a big stick. Whereas SA under Cyril can now boldly venture forth, anchored on SA's approximately 0.40% share of global GDP, clapping hands emoji, if combined with the entire African continent's share of global GDP of approximately 3%, who can honestly question that the African Renaissance is now truly at hand. Ramaphosa 2.0 this time around, but now truly global in scale and impact. Maybe not, as the national sewage and water crisis still seems to be getting worse. Thumbs up.
Sarcastic thumbs up.
Yeah.
Sarcasm sign, Sheldon.
Okay, and your response was, while all you say is true, and vividly so for anyone from any bracket, having not fled the country, fearing, as Trev said, they're going to eat us, Berrel, it is blatantly obvious, can be shown, and is recorded, that those who stayed are now also part of those that were going to eat those who didn't run. Despite historical failures of governance and much of corporate, which could be one bracket, but fortunately is not, due to our constitution and our very clever and resilient private sector, and this is capital letters, and most importantly, the person on the street with no other option but figure it out together or die, in capital letters. Despite the failure, threat, and gloom/doom for 35, not 15 years, we are the creators and happy, proud owners of new, one-of-a-kind, and repeated Golden Achiever Award carrots within us.
Just for context, carrot versus stick, the donkey theory. Tempt it or move it.
Within us, South Africans, and our borders. To highlight some top shelf but not isolated. A constitution and concord which stands and functions correctly. In brackets, the fail is the actioning of law by our security sector, the sheriff in lay term. Many social settings, town, cities, and such running beautifully despite all, and multicultural, multi-everything, in peace. A sports team of one of the world's toughest team sports, being GOAT, greatest of all time. This despite every fear and manipulation and attack on it and its vision, internally, backed externally. Still no war, no civil war, no religious war, no exodus, no refugee crisis from our lands. Yes, crime, yes, corruption, yes, brain drain, yes, yes, yes. Yet, here we stand with some mighty fine, one-of-a-kind, real carrots, which no other democratic country has produced, despite claims. And we are one of the youngest democracies on earth ever. We are ahead because we worked hard and didn't quit together. Increase your timeline/scale and plug us in as a whole and a point of reference in all history. Briefly include natural resources, surrounding natural resources, workforce, surrounding workforce, and most importantly, the geographical benefits and answers we hold, or HODL.
Huddle, for the Bitcoin guys. Sorry.
For the globe, both in following natural progression and need, or in time of war or natural disaster, impending and evermore everywhere, but here. We have answers, we are answers, our answers work. Hard work and tough situations do not factor into success, breed success. And we clung to God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit when everything around us burned. Book of Job and Daniel creeps to mind. Proverbs and Revelation too. Disagree? ? Much love and respect from and to me and you and all real South African goats.
Just a little tease at the end. A compliment in disguise, but a tease. You read it very well, thank you.
Okay.
So that's where the discussion was at. That was our meeting point of agreement and disagreement. And he then flusteredly said to me, that is all irrelevant. Which is a very strange place to be. I then went to a few other friends and business people that I speak to often, and just in friendship and in connection, and wherever I may be roaming on our travels. And some are saying that they definitely agree that we've made the turn at the bottom. Some are tying it to crediting it directly to the Democratic Alliance, which in their provinces and wards are doing phenomenal work. But that's part of the example that I was speaking about, the multicultural, multifunctional societies, towns and cities that are doing really well. Which is what I'm saying is, it does work, it is working, it just needs to be more. And for that to happen, some are saying it's kind of purely based on our financial success as a country, money, which I say is ridiculous. It is purely based on how fast and how well we can, and how in truth we can educate everybody. The only reason why most of us move forward more easily and with more luxury is from education, mostly, unless you're a successful criminal. But even then, you need to have some grey matter in your noggin. It's just a fact. I have danced between criminals and businessmen. I've been on the street. I've been in palaces or big houses. We don't have palaces really in South Africa. Well, actually, there's a castle in Durban, the presidential castle, which I've also been around, not in. And I'd really like to open this discussion and challenge us as a nation to start focusing on the truth of everything in context and in reality and in daily life. The most highest truth, which in my opinion is the Holy Bible, and all the truths that lie in there, literally, metaphorically, in parables, in idea, and in history, and in today. It's all in there. It's not, I don't want to make this only religious, but it's a big part of my journey and how my life was saved. And so I will testify to that whenever I have the opportunity, out of thankfulness. And anyway, what do you make of that?
You're gonna have to ask a more specific question.
You were at the discussion between myself and that person, and you've read that
Yes.
now, and you've also heard me speak to other people around, some of my sports friends. You and me have had a light discussion about this many times. Val, I said the name. The lady there also gave her input. It's okay, no one knows who that is except for close friends. Also gave their input. If we are not to get in trouble in this country right now, if we are correct, if I'm correct, if the ones, not me, if the ones that are saying we've done our bottom turn and we're moving forward and upward in a positive progress with the GNU and the positive acting political parties and the church making a recovery and citizens still pulling together, because we've always pulled together, then what that means is, and also if the greater part of the world is in such conflict, that means we are going to become a place of refuge. We have a reverse brain drain that's going on right now. It's statistically true. It's being captured. People are returning back home. The grass was not greener on the other side. The corrupt government is being sorted out. Governmental change is inevitable. It will occur more and more, because you can only suffer and people can only die so long. They will vote you out or revolt. And we're not a revolting nation. We've tried that before, and they got killed. We are a nation of working together and figuring it out. And if it's true, and the wars around the world escalate, we will become again a trade route, a safe harbor, a refugee destination, a return of citizens destination who are now trapped in authoritarian, totalitarian countries making ridiculous laws. Also, after coronavirus, they got trapped and their passports got removed. They are returning home because they realized we're not doing so badly, and we are not really in conflict with each other. We are in conflict with our governance and criminal elements. Crime is an issue, but crime is an issue everywhere. And if that is true, which I believe it is, and I would like to discuss it further with you or anyone else who would like to be a guest or have a comment or be part of this I'm hoping this will emerge. Let's drivers become part of the Turningpoint South Africa team to do engagements and interviews and go to schools, universities, office parks, beaches, parking lots, whatever. Engage anyone everywhere, but in a respectful manner, in a robust conversation with facts and evidence and a plan, or at least moving forward together with better truth and better education and better opinion, so that when and if this happens, which I believe it will, we don't allow the bad elements to come with the good elements. Because if we have an influx of people and business and investment, and all investment is just waiting for governance to get it right. We are an investable country. We do have resources here and around us. Africa has one of the 2 primary workforces for the next century. This is all fact. Some of the big first world countries have a collapsing and a diminishing population, so they will not have workforce to produce for the world. We produce much of the world's food. And when this happens, there will be a sudden and a rapid influx of investment, money, people, tourism, everything. And if we're not educated enough in truths, and the highest of truths, we're going to let elements come into our country, and we're going to go on a 100-year journey that America's just been on.
Yeah.
Because I believe we are in the same place as America right now, just 100 years difference in experience. America has run a hell of a gauntlet, and they have now altogether said, this is enough. We see through the bullshit, and we want to go back to a place of better, or at least go forward better. Go back to what worked, or get what worked back in place. And we have that.
They need to reinstate their values.
Just the truth. Call a spade, and get on with it, and say no when you have to say no, especially with investment, money, foreign forces who want to interfere with your country and make trouble. Communism, fascism, socialism, these things are all the same thing. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, these things are threats worldwide. And this is not a witch hunt after any group or person. It is just to have an educated, truth-based nation on a higher and higher and higher level. And that is how everything moves forward faster, better, on the right track and gradient, ever so more increasing, because they are complementing. It's a fact that the ANC are a communist governance. They have been funded by Iran and other communist states. Most of the people I speak to on the street, on the beach, in the water, in a mall, bored, waiting for someone to finish shopping, wherever it is I'm talking to anyone, in a pub, late night, online, most South Africans that I speak to don't even know really what's going on with the governance, and that our government took, for instance, Israel and America to the international court body, the international court, to lay charges
ICC,
on behalf of sort of Gaza and the Palestinians. And this is not an attack or a religious thing that I'm trying to engage. I'm just saying the blasé and uneducated mass don't know, are not talking about this, don't have exposure to a conversation like this. And so it falls on all of us to get this right amongst ourselves, as we kind of have, because the tide has changed against the ANC, is slowly changing in our business sector and society. Look at that terrible thing, those protests that happened across the country when Jay-Z went to jail for 1.5 minutes. We sorted it out. Not me and her. We as a nation said, Lokshaya wena, and sorted it out. And just in the same way, and that was from knowing the truth of what was going to happen. So if we can get the truth of what has been, what is, and what can be in a fair, balanced, robust conversation platform with truth and facts, not claims and allegations and feelings and opinions. Yes, that all fits inside, but if we can get that rolling and get that going everywhere and online, because online is easy to share, send, watch again, revise, work from, work towards, and so on. Even in this discussion, I believe we've touched on some basic novelty ideas and some pretty thick and sort of high level business and education ideas, but it's everything in that range and between that needs to come together, which we are as a nation in this moment that I believe we've done I'm calling it a bottom turn from my surfing part of me, but we've done our turning point South Africa. We've done it. We just need to make sure which direction we're now going to go in, because I've said now repeatedly to some people that I've been talking about, 10 good decisions in 10 years will fix the last 30 years, because the recovery is faster if it's in truth, all together, and in the right direction with good investment and good policy and good governance. It is faster. So that is the idea. What was the further points on that list, please? May I have a look?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. I've explained that. I've explained that. The last thing is, let's please engage on this. Let's please comment. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Everything is relevant and everything is irrelevant. And like on X, there's no reason why in the comments people can't self-correct or correct each other. In X, they've got a beautiful new function called community notes. Elon Musk, one South African changing the world. Let's have this conversation. Let's engage each other. Let's have interviews happening. Get hold of us. Join the team. Let's brand this thing. Let's get this thing going. I'm going to try and have topics happening, interviews happening. I'm going to try and interview you, you interview me, interview other people. I'm going to try and engage the same people I've been engaging over the last few months to come online and do this. And I'd love to hear from you guys what you think and whether you'd like to help or not.
Okay.
And we'll take it from there. Because I really do think we've done a bottom turn. And if Africa and India are going to be the predominant workforce in the world over the next few decades or century, if we have most of what's left of the natural resources, we just can't produce anything with it because we don't have the educated skill level. If we are mostly a peaceful southern African region with trade routes, well formed in technology but could be better, well formed in education but only a few, it needs to be much better. And if we can form a place like the Western Cape, if we can produce a team like the Springboks, if we can have one of the best constitutions and constitutional courts in the world, and definitely in Africa, that still functions properly within its law and theory, over and over, to the highest level, with everyone from everywhere in peace and success, then so it can be in all other provinces, cities, and countries in Africa. And then South Africa will be the point of Africa, which will then sort of flower, because Namibia is doing great as well. Botswana is doing great as well, under good governance.
Yes.
Zimbabwe is rebuilding. Still a long way to go. Mozambique, also a tropical destination. A little bit of trouble with ISIS in the north. But all in all, if you go there, you can visit, have a holiday, have a few drinks, and come home. But, you know, they've got to put some roads down. It's all in the sand. But it's beautiful for that reason. But you know, Lesotho, beautiful. The kingdom of Lesotho. Beautiful people, beautiful land, beautiful soil, lots of water, safe. There are European VIPs, I don't want to put names against this, European VIPs who have nuclear bomb shelters in Lesotho. Think about that for a second. Their bomb shelter is in one of the most pristine, beautiful natural kingdoms within our country, is where they want to hide out should the shit hit the fan. There's Swaziland, same thing, beautiful, green, agriculture, beautiful people, not too much corruption. Lesotho also, not too much corruption. It's just the direction that we're going to choose it to go now. And having gone through 1994 and the last 30 plus years to this point, having lived on the street and having lived in palaces in this country, having had much and having had lost much, and having always tried my best to engage on all those levels, everybody, and having had a phenomenal education, thank my father and mother for what they provided for me, I see and believe and can articulate why I think we are going forward and up should we make the correct decisions. 10 good decisions in 10 years, and we could be in a really significant new position that has never been seen before in any country, actually, and especially in Africa. We could be the promised land, the land of milk and honey. Many of us believe, as it is so written and it is so told and it is so legend, and or however you might know the story, all of us were brought to South Africa by our governing authority. For me, that is Jesus God. Our people and all of our people, everyone who's here, was brought here because this is the land of milk and honey. Now, that's not a utopia dream. That means we are a point of something very important that needs to exist, that God has ordained to exist, and we are responsible for looking after it, growing it, and making better decisions than our forefathers who made mistakes. And we also will make mistakes, but not if we are better educated. And because in today's world, the transference of information, education, and free flow of information and education is so much more easily accessible because of internet, we do have fast developing generations of humans. And I have history and education, and I have seen it. I've seen how bad information collapse generations and how good information totally lifts up a generation. Excuse me. So please engage with us, leave a comment, join us, or support us, donate, or find us and engage with us. Come for an interview, tell us why and what you would like to discuss, and let's get the ball rolling.
Just send a topic.
Or send a topic for discussion, and who we might get hold of to engage that topic, who might be an expert, who might know something or something you have seen or heard or read. Let's try keep it positive, forward, constructive, robust. Let's disagree. Let's agree. You know what I mean? You can both be right, as I've just shown you, on the same topic and still disagree. Because in 10 years from now, we could be where we had hoped to be after 1994, and still am not 30 plus years after having gone through. And I don't think white people have suffered what others have suffered in this country. Though we have also been through significant bumps and attacks. It's the truth for all of us, as I said in my text. And we are all still here. And others are coming back. And if this trouble in the outside world continues, we need to be ready and know what we are talking about, what we are doing, why we are talking about those things, why we are doing those things, and know why they are important and why they should be our way. Because we already have a way as South Africans. Band together, look after each other, look after our environment and our animals and our nations and our tribes and our people. We have got through the dip. Let us get this going, because I've been resistant to return to education because of interference by overzealous parenting bodies, a disgraceful education department mostly, and And I don't want to waste time arguing with those things.
So then what is the way forward? Because that is the way that most South Africans are educated.
No, sure. I don't want to go back into education as a singular teacher in a singular school.
I understand, but what would you like to see happen? How does the change come about?
Online. A video done in a respectful manner, in a South African way, English as the language of the world, can be shared anywhere at any time, watched anywhere at any time, discussed anywhere at any time, with facts and evidence that we can present as a team, as a channel, as a movement, and then therefore cannot be changed with a lesser capable debater, a lesser capable businessman, a lesser capable mom. We all know different things. We're all in the same pudding. We have all been in the same pudding. So, and then being able to move around as an organization or a team to schools, universities, meetings, conferences, whatever. The same methodology as the Turning Point USA. Engage everyone, anywhere, but record it, make it available, make it truthful and with evidence, proof, fact and stat. Not blanket allegations, feelings, made up scenarios, non-achievable utopia dreams, and especially not communism, which, if you don't know, has been the biggest killer of human life in all of history. Fascism, Marxism, socialism, and all the other isms is not the answer, it's education.
So my question is, you have problems or things that you disagree with the current way that mainstream education functions. What would you like to see? How would you like to see it improve, or what needs to happen for it to be better? If you could be involved, if you wanted to be involved, what would get you involved? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so. What the idea
what would
is,
make it better?
What would make it better is having more people know the truth, being able to discuss the truth and insist on change because of the truth.
So how do you get that in the education system, in schools, to the masses?
By having online information, and if we can get a team together to move to places that are interested to have these discussions or have talks about this or have presentations about it. But if we can just get the right people in front of this camera.
Yes, I understand, but this is for maybe older kids or adults. I'm saying if it comes down to education, kids start getting educated from preschool, and there's a whole education system. I'm saying, how do you change the education system?
By changing the moms and dads'
better?
minds, by changing the educators' minds, by changing pupils' minds, by changing students' minds, by changing politicians' minds, by getting all of them in front of us to have those conversations.
So that the change will filter into how kids get educated. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because accuracy beats power and timing beats speed. It's the placement of the piece on the chessboard in relation to all the other pieces, which hold and defend and attack at the same time. And it's the crucial point. If you can get the right people to engage the right questions and bring the right information with the right truths about what's really going on here and beyond, so everywhere, not space, not the Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
If we can engage truthfully with every and any sector, being very specific and targeted what we're trying to discuss for the reason of the health of the country and educating people in the truth of what is really going on. Because America was lied to more than 100 years, 200 years, 400 years into their democracy. And they've only just come out of it. And so have we, I believe.
Okay.
So let's not make 400 years of this. Let's rather do it in 10 years with 10 good decisions. I think the GNU has been a good one decision. If it holds at its core, it's making change already. It should make change and it should be perpetuated. Let's have many little GNUs forming. Let's be a GNU. What GNU? A little team of everyone working together, even though we disagree or might have different objectives in mind. But the overall objective is the
Build
future,
South Africa.
build South Africa, educate from as young as we can to as old as we can, because you're never too old to learn, otherwise you're done, and you're never too young to start. And everything that has been to this point can be undone from this point going forward, and faster than when it was to this point, because pre-94 the Vitos stuffed this country up, post-94 the Blackos stuffed this country up, and we're all being given a second chance now.
We're somewhere in the middle
We're
now.
somewhere in the middle now.
Where we all have to work together and build together.
So let's get on with it. And a vital cog in all of the foundation, including the fiscal and the GDP and investment and all the banks going to behave themselves, and the interest rate, that all comes down to, does everybody really know what's going on, or at least know the truth of the basics, so that they can in their everyday life make, or help others make, or force others to change good decisions, and not to allow the bad into the country and at our table. Don't allow, because some do it on purpose. Some people just want to see the world burn. That's the truth. But they're in the minority by far. If we have enough citizens, new citizens, people coming to live and work here, whatever, we're all trying to make good decisions for everyone, for the trajectory, the way the country is going and where it's going. We are in a moment, and like I said in the finishing of that message, if you scale out on a timeline of, let's say, from the birth of Jesus to now, so 2024 years, we've only been messing up for 30 years. Well, no, a little bit more, okay, because we also stuffed up before 94. Well, not me, but my forefathers and so on, and that's fine. That was it. They did it. I didn't do it. Just like you didn't do it. The corrupt guys, the criminals, and the ANC did it. It's not us. It's not us. It's them. Us, South Africans, our South African way didn't do it. And if the Western Cape can do it, and if the Springboks can do it, and that was us, then so can it be everywhere else. By working together and having the right policies in place, having the right information in your brain and the right words coming out of your mouth, especially around those who haven't quite yet had the privilege of a good education, having had the privilege of knowing how to read, having had the privilege of being exposed to the internet, books, libraries, good conversations, because this is easily transferable to anywhere. Please get hold of us if you have something to share for consideration of an interview.
I think what would make a good topic then, because your emphasis is on education, and what I keep questioning you about, and maybe we should make this a podcast episode and maybe try and interview some educators, some people who are actually teachers in schools at the moment and can engage with us about the current education system. Maybe we should have a conversation about the education system,
of course.
because then we can, that's what I'm trying to say, is that's where you want to make a change.
No, not in education per se, literally the education department and schools. That also, yes.
But is that not necessary?
Listen,
okay.
Linda, honey, listen carefully now, listen nicely. Everyone,
yes,
in every form,
yes,
in every sector. So yes, also that, but not only that.
No, I'm not saying only that.
So I want to
I'm
stop
saying
you.
that can be one topic of
course,
discussion. How do you bring change into that?
Okay, but don't. Okay, so I don't want to dismiss your comment, but don't bring one topic of one podcast of one possible interview up now. What about everything else?
Yes.
Of course we will. No, hang on. Get hold of us. Let us know your thoughts. Suggest topics for discussion. People to meet and greet and invite. Tell them to get hold of us. If you want to join us, please do. It can be anywhere. All you need is a sound mind, a sounding board, the truth with facts, and a discussion, and let's put it under one banner, Turningpoint South Africa. Let's get this ball rolling. Anything else?
No.
I think sorry, I am Afrikaans. I think we've gone through the list.
Sure.
I feel like we got the gist of it out, and I will definitely be going on and engaging with this and going on. And always remember to please be light-hearted and have a sense of humor, because and as South Africans, we have a great sense of humor. That's a big part of how we got through all of this. We were always able to mock it, laugh at it, and get over it.
True.
So that'll be part of our recipe as well. We've got to laugh at these things. I'm excited about this. I've been mulling it over lots and lots. I've been having fun with our videos on tour around the country. Everyone who I've been speaking to in every place is hopeful of change. They see change. And I've said it before, there are way more good Okies and aunties out there than Stota Okies and evil, mischievous aunties out there. We just need to all band together and also get them on board with better knowledge, truthful knowledge, and good, honest, open discussions. And some comedy. Won't you press stop there? Thanks, I gotta go.